Hello, my name is Quirin Schlegel, and in this video I would like to present and showcase the Mesh Multisig platform. Enjoy! We will go ahead and navigate to the Multisig platform. Here we can connect our wallet, and on the first connection we have to initialize this wallet and authorize it. Now the wallet is authorized and we can create our first wallet. Now we can also give ourselves a name. For this one I'm using my wallet number 8 and we can save. From here we can copy an invite link. Now I'm joining as a second signer to our Team Treasury Multisig wallet. Now we are back from the admin user, which is number 8 right now, and we can see that number 3 has joined correctly. Now we have to change the signature rule. We will use a 2 out of 2 signature scheme. Basically this means that both signers have to sign before a transaction can be validly submitted to the blockchain. Now our multi-signature wallet is created and we can go to the wallet and fund the wallet. Now we can also fund our wallet by going to the deposit tab. The deposit tab also shows us how much ADA we actually have in our wallet right now. So let's deposit 510 ADA. This will be enough to register a DREP later on. We have to sign the transaction to deposit. Alright, now we have to wait until the funds arrive. Our funds have arrived and now we can actually register a DREP. To do so, we go to the Governance tab. Under DREP Management, we can now register a DREP. We add a name and we can also add an image to our DREP. Now we have an objective, motivation and qualifications. To register the DREP, we will now have to send our first multi-signature transaction. Now let's supply the first signature. As we have a 2 out of 2 signature scheme, we will also require the second user to sign this transaction. To sign the transaction, we move to the Transaction tab, which is also indicating that we have one pending transaction. Here we navigate down and we see a transaction card which says DREP registration. This requires us to approve and sign, which we will now do. Now the threshold has been reached and the transaction was submitted to the blockchain. And we can now take a look in the Governance tab at our freshly generated DREP. You can see this by status active. Now we can actually start to participate in Cardano governance as a team. Let's begin by creating our first ballot. This can be used as a team to sign multiple transactions in one go. Now let's create the first ballot and start to add some votes to the ballot, some governance proposals. We will vote on Delta DeFi, the new constitution, and the Vision 2030. Now let's go to the ballot and actually start adding anchors, i.e. voting rationales. All of the voting rationales will be separately uploaded to IPFS and later saved to the vote. Let's vote yes on Delta DeFi. Let's abstain for now on the constitution update and also agree with the 2030 vision statement. Now we are ready to actually vote. Now the first signature was given. Now we see in the transaction tab we have our first ballot vote. And now we can approve our first ballot vote. The threshold was reached and the transaction submitted. Now we just have to wait a moment until it is properly recorded on-chain. Now we can see that the vote was actually recorded on-chain, and we have a small statistic on how we voted, as well as a small overview of how we voted in the past. We can also resubmit or change some of our votes and resubmit them to update them. We can also do this individually. Now let's take a brief look at how we can send more complex transactions. We can create a new transaction. Let's describe this as a payout. And here we would like to send to each of our signers 1 ADA. This is what you would get, but we can also go a little bit more advanced. For now, let's download this as a CSV, and then later we can also change this and add more signers. We can go up to 200 signers roughly. That's pretty much the transaction limit. And let's say we would like to add some more to this person. Vice versa, you can also import CSV files in this format and they will automatically arrive here. To be noted here is that each recipient gets their own UTXO, which is also shown in this UTXOs section. Here we can clearly see which input UTXOs will be selected and which output UTXOs will be selected. Also, for further complications, if we have multiple UTXOs, some might be blocked by pending transactions. So if a transaction doesn't work, take a look if the required UTXOs are blocked. Now let's create this transaction and pay out 2 ADA to our contributors. Now we see our payout transaction card has also arrived, showing us that each of our signers gets 1 ADA and the rest flows back to the multisig. We can also take a look who has already signed. Now let's approve the payout and take a look at some other features of the multisig platform. We can also stake and redelegate to different stake pools using our multisig. And we can also use some of our dApps which are integrated. Right now we have integrated successfully with Fluid tokens, so you can use their product portfolio with a multisig security in the background. We are happy to announce that everybody who would like to use multisigs for their dApps can do this very easily. We have provided some good documentation on how we secure our API so that our users can connect to different dApps through this. This basically concludes our showcase for now. If you have any questions, leave us some comments. We will answer them very quickly. Thank you and bye bye.